The Middle East is once again engulfed in flames. The long-standing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has flared up, spiraling into a level of violence unseen in years. Since early October 2024, a barrage of rockets and airstrikes has painted the skies with fiery trails of destruction. Both sides are locked in a deadly exchange, fueled by decades of animosity and mistrust. Civilians are caught in the crossfire, their lives upended by the relentless cycle of attack and retaliation. The international community watches with bated breath, fearing a wider conflagration that could engulf the entire region. This latest chapter in the Israel-Hezbollah conflict is a stark reminder of the deep-seated tensions that plague the Middle East. It underscores the fragility of peace in a region grappling with historical grievances, political instability, and religious extremism. As the world witnesses the devastating consequences of this renewed violence, it is imperative to understand the historical context that has brought these two adversaries to the brink once more. To comprehend the current crisis, one must delve into the tumultuous history of Lebanon, a nation that has long been a crossroads of various cultures, religions, and political interests. Central to this history is the rise of Hezbollah, a powerful and controversial entity. The seeds of this conflict were sown in the chaos of the Lebanese civil war, which raged from 1975 to 1990. This brutal conflict saw Lebanon's diverse religious and ethnic communities pitted against each other in a struggle for dominance. During this period of intense sectarian violence, various militias and factions vied for control, plunging the country into anarchy. The war left deep scars on the Lebanese society, with neighborhoods and families divided along sectarian lines. It was amidst this turmoil that Hezbollah emerged initially as a small group of Shiite militants. Founded in 1982 as a Shiite Islamist militant group, Hezbollah was initially backed by Iran's Revolutionary Guard as a proxy force to counter Israel's invasion of Lebanon. This support from Iran provided Hezbollah with the resources and training it needed to grow rapidly. Hezbollah's stated goal was the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon and the establishment of an Islamic state. Over time, this goal expanded to include resistance against Western influence in the region. The group quickly gained popularity among Lebanon's Shia population, providing social services and filling the void left by a weak central government. They established schools, clinics, and welfare programs which endeared them to many in the Shia community. Hezbollah's ideology is rooted in a blend of Shia Islam and revolutionary fervor. This ideology not only drives their military actions but also influences their social and political activities. The group views Israel as an illegitimate entity and calls for its destruction. This stance has led to numerous conflicts and skirmishes with Israeli forces over the years. Hezbollah's commitment to armed struggle against Israel, coupled with its social and political infrastructure, has made it a formidable force in Lebanon and a major player in the region's geopolitics. Their influence extends beyond military might. They are a significant political party in Lebanon, holding seats in the parliament and wielding considerable power in the government. In addition to their military and social services, Hezbollah operates a sophisticated media network, including television and radio stations, which they use to spread their message and influence public opinion. Hezbollah's reach is not confined to Lebanon. They have been involved in various conflicts across the Middle East, most notably in Syria, where they have fought alongside the Assad regime. This involvement has further cemented their role as a key player in regional geopolitics. The international community remains deeply divided over Hezbollah. Some view them as a legitimate resistance movement, while others see them as a terrorist organization. This dichotomy reflects the complex and often contradictory nature of Middle Eastern politics. For the people of Lebanon, Hezbollah is both a protector and a source of controversy. Their presence has brought both security and conflict, making them an inextricable part of Lebanon's modern history. As Lebanon continues to navigate its future, the legacy of its civil war and the rise of Hezbollah will undoubtedly shape the nation's path. Understanding this history is crucial for anyone seeking to grasp the complexities of Lebanon today. The Israel-Hezbollah conflict is punctuated by a series of key events that have shaped the bitter rivalry between the two adversaries. This ongoing struggle has deep roots and has evolved through numerous confrontations, each adding layers of complexity and animosity. In 1982, Israel launched a full-scale invasion of Lebanon, aiming to dismantle the Palestine Liberation Organization, which was operating from Lebanese territory. This military operation was a significant escalation in the region, reflecting Israel's determination to neutralize perceived threats from its northern neighbor. This invasion, known as Operation Peace for Galilee, marked the beginning of a protracted Israeli military presence in southern Lebanon. The operation was intended to create a buffer zone to protect northern Israel from cross-border attacks, but it also led to a prolonged and costly occupation. Hezbollah's resistance to Israeli occupation intensified throughout the 1980s and 1990s, culminating in Israel's unilateral withdrawal from Lebanon in 2000. This period saw Hezbollah grow from a small militia into a formidable political and military force, gaining significant support among the Lebanese population. Despite this withdrawal, tensions remained high, and in 2006, a cross-border raid by Hezbollah sparked a month-long conflict. This raid, which resulted in the capture of 2 Israeli soldiers, triggered a massive military response from Israel, leading to widespread devastation. The 2006 war resulted in significant casualties on both sides and caused widespread destruction in Lebanon. Civilian infrastructure was heavily damaged, and the humanitarian impact was profound, with thousands of people displaced from their homes. While a ceasefire agreement ended the fighting, it did little to address the underlying issues fueling the conflict. The ceasefire was fragile, and both sides continued to prepare for future confrontations, knowing that the root causes of their enmity remained unresolved. Since 2006, there have been sporadic outbreaks of violence, but the current escalation marks the most serious confrontation in over a decade. These periodic clashes serve as a reminder of the volatile nature of the region and the ever-present potential for conflict. It is a dangerous reminder that the embers of this conflict can easily be rekindled, threatening regional stability and global security. The international community watches closely, aware that any significant escalation could have far-reaching consequences, not just for the Middle East, but for the world at large. The Israel-Hezbollah rivalry remains one of the most enduring and perilous conflicts in modern history, with no clear resolution in sight. Section 4. Human cost. A trail of displacement and suffering. As with any conflict, it is the innocent civilians who bear the brunt of the violence.
The current Israel-Hezbollah conflict has already claimed the lives of hundreds of people, many of them non-combatants.
Thousands more have been injured, and the number of casualties continues to rise with each passing day.
The relentless bombardment has forced hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes in search of safety.
Many have sought refuge in makeshift shelters, often lacking basic necessities like food, water, and medical care. The humanitarian situation is dire, and aid organizations are struggling to provide assistance to those in need.
The psychological trauma inflicted by the conflict is immeasurable. Children in particular are deeply affected by the constant fear and uncertainty.
The scars of this conflict will take years, if not generations, to heal. Section 5. The struggle for a ceasefire, navigating mistrust and ultimatums. In this chapter, we delve into the intricate and often perilous journey towards achieving a ceasefire in one of the world's most volatile regions. The international community has been swift in its condemnation of the violence, urging both sides to exercise restraint and seek a ceasefire. Global leaders have repeatedly called for an end to hostilities, emphasizing the need for dialogue and diplomacy over military action.
However, brokering a lasting peace agreement remains a formidable challenge. The road to peace is fraught with obstacles, and the stakes are incredibly high. Each negotiation session is a delicate dance, with every word and gesture carrying significant weight. Decades of mistrust, coupled with conflicting narratives and political calculations, have created a highly volatile and unpredictable environment. The historical context of the Israel-Hezbollah conflict is steeped in a legacy of animosity and bloodshed, making trust a rare commodity.
Both Israel and Hezbollah have set preconditions for a ceasefire that seem irreconcilable at present. These preconditions are not just political statements, but are deeply rooted in the security concerns and existential fears of both parties.
Israel demands a complete cessation of Hezbollah rocket fire and the dismantling of its vast tunnel network along the Lebanese border. These tunnels are seen as a direct threat to Israeli security, providing Hezbollah with a means to launch attacks and infiltrate Israeli territory.
Hezbollah, on the other hand, insists on an end to Israeli airstrikes and a lifting of the blockade on Lebanon. The blockade has had severe humanitarian impacts, affecting the lives of countless Lebanese civilians and fueling further resentment and hostility. These entrenched positions have made it difficult for mediators to find common ground and bridge the divide. The mediators, often from neutral countries or international organizations, face the daunting task of addressing the core issues while managing the expectations and demands of both sides.
Adding to the complexity is the involvement of regional actors with their own agendas and interests. Countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, and others have their own stakes in the conflict, often exacerbating tensions and complicating the peace process. Iran, Hezbollah's main backer, has vowed to retaliate if Israel targets its assets in Lebanon. This support emboldens Hezbollah, making it less likely to compromise, while also increasing the risk of a broader regional conflict.
This threat of a wider regional conflict looms large, further complicating efforts to de-escalate the situation. The potential for escalation into a full-scale war involving multiple countries is a constant shadow over the peace talks, making the quest for a ceasefire all the more urgent and challenging.